My name is Bethany Wallace, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I am currently the Director of Quality Improvement for Trillium Family Services. My journey to becoming a social worker started when I was in college at the University of Oregon. Due to my own lived experience, I had always been interested in being a teacher, as when I was dealing with difficult times and trauma in my life, I had reached out to teachers and administrators and told them what was going on, but they did not believe me or listen and did not intervene. As I got older and wanted to make a change, I really saw teachers as being the first step in prevention and working with kids who are maybe being hurt or traumatized and really wanting to be that person to believe. So at the University of Oregon, I studied education, and throughout my time learned more about social services and therapy and social workers, which was not something I had really interacted with in my youth. And as I did my internships and worked in the schools, I started to find I was much more interested in the one-on-one work with students rather than the class as a whole, and ended up switching my internship with more of a focus on behavioral and special education. And at the end, actually went back to my old high school and interned there with their behavioral students, where I really got to work one-on-one and interact on that more personal level with students, the more interpersonal work rather than like a large classroom. And so rather than getting a master's in teaching, I decided to go and work at a local residential facility, which eventually guided me towards wanting to get a master's in social work. I really wanted to focus on trauma and children, and so I went to the University of Michigan, where I was a child welfare scholar and focused on trauma work. And throughout that time really developed my skills and passion for working with youth that have experienced trauma. So when I was ready to graduate, I came back to looking at services around my home community of where I could work, and that's where I found Trillium Family Services. Initially, I was too early and too excited in my applying efforts, but an employee who later became my supervisor was Tina Hendrickson, and she continued to reach out to me and check in with me as I got closer to graduation. And then once the time was ready, she let me know that there was a full-time position available to be a child and family therapist in one of our residential units at the Children's Farm Home campus. And so that is where I started my journey with Trillium in January 2011. I honestly didn't initially think of myself as an administrator. I'd always really wanted to be a social worker and work with kids. As I continued with my time with Trillium, I really started to understand the systemic levels and impact on kids in the work we do. And so I've continued to grow my passion to work on training other clinicians on being the best clinicians they can be, and for Trillium Family Services to provide the best services we can. I'm hoping that we'll have a vice president position come back, or some other areas where I can continue to advance in my career, but also advance the services that we are providing and the level of expertise that we have here.